Hello and welcome everyone to our latest online event, part of Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here this evening to talk about student support programs at UC Merced. Once again, it is part of our Become a Bobcat virtual series. My name is Ricky Hill and I'm an e-recruiter and engagement specialist here at UC Merced. Allow me to give you a couple of quick tips before we get started. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking the audio settings button. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, please do so by clicking view options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, this event is especially designed for you, and we would love to get to your questions this evening. You can click the Q&A button at the lower portion of the screen and send in those questions. We will get to those in a combination of ways, either behind the scenes or through a live question and answer session with our student panel and expert panelists at the end of this event. Quickly, before we get started with this Become a Bobcat virtual series event focused on student service programs here at UC Merced, allow me to give you a couple of bits of information about what Become a Bobcat, a virtual series includes. Over the next couple of months, we will be offering you over 40 different events specific about different campus options. We have academic programs, majors and minors, student programs, financial aid, housing and transportation services and dining. The list is pretty endless. You can drop into that website, the Become a Bobcat, a virtual series website, get yourself registered for one of the upcoming events. Or you can also take a look at some of our replays of events that have already taken place over the last couple of weeks. Once again, we do have a specific website for that, so please take a look and get registered right away. We would love to see you at a future event. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. A big welcome to you tonight. At this time, it is my great pleasure to hand things over to my colleague, Jason.
Good evening, all, and thank you, Ricky, for the introduction and for starting us off this evening. As Ricky said, my name is Jason. I serve as the Associate Director for Physician Programs in our Calvin E. Bright Success Center here at UC Merced. I use preferred gender pronouns of he and him. And so thank you for being here this evening. I have been looking forward to this since February when my colleagues reached out to me and asked to think about doing a presentation to help welcome incoming students and families as a part of Become a Bobcat. And so I'm honored to be here tonight to welcome you all and to share some information with you about our Calvin E. Bright Success Center and student success programs in general here at UC Merced. As we get ready to jump in, just a little bit about myself, I have been at UC Merced now for going on 15 years. And so I've seen a few classes of students come and go. And in the time that I've been here at UC Merced, I've fallen in love with the place, and it's allowed me to be here as long as I have. The students and the families and the loved ones of our students are a big part of what has driven me to be here and what inspires me to continue to be active here at UC Merced and trying to provide information and resources to help you all be successful as you think about this process and this journey that you are likely to embark upon, whether you choose UC Merced or not. Of course, shameless little plug, little nudge, nudge. Hopefully you are actively considering UC Merced and are strongly looking to submit that SIR, your statement of intent to register, to join us here at UC Merced. But nonetheless, my work here at UC Merced is focused heavily on transition and transition support, and that is both for students and parents of families and loved ones. To me, what that means is helping you understand sort of the broad spectrum of what your experiences will be in the coming months and in the coming year or even years. When we think about transitions, I don't work around and think exclusively about transitions from the perspective of entering UC Merced. We are constantly in a state of flux, a state of transition. And so the transition into UC Merced is but one part of that journey. Beyond that is journeying in through the first year, into the second year, and through all your years here at UC Merced, and ultimately to graduation. So when we think about that transition journey, that's a big part of what we're thinking about. It's not just entering UC Merced, but working through, having all the successes and the great experience UC Merced has to offer, and then transitioning out of it eventually, moving on to graduate school for some individuals and others, moving on to other experiences, professional, entrepreneurial, whatever they may be. But nonetheless, let's jump right on in. I'm here to talk about student success, or student support service and student success in general. I'm going to talk about that through the lens of our Calvin E. Bright Success Center here at UC Merced. And so I will be jumping in a few moments about what the Bright Success Center is, what we stand for, what we do, and how that will help you in your journey and your success here at UC Merced. So before we jump in, I want to start with talking about the commitment to student success that we have in general as an institution here at UC Merced. We are strongly committed to the success of our students, and I would argue for our families and loved ones as well. These are a couple of the bullet points that really stand out for me and really help to define what student success means in supporting you all and in your journey at UC Merced. A big part of that is the unique and valuable perspective that all students bring that enrich the tapestry of our fabric here at UC Merced, that we're all part of this active community that is seeking to create a greater world and a greater society. We see student success as an active collaboration across the institution. And so, students, you will have responsibility. There are things that you will be doing in your coming years to help you be successful. But you're not alone in that process, in that journey. Your families and loved ones who may be around you right now are going to be an active part of that. And at UC Merced, we're going to find ways to try to integrate parents, families, and loved ones into this community and helping to understand that you are an active part of what it means to help your students be successful. And it's a shared responsibility that we all have to work together to communicate. And so if things aren't going well or if support is needed, there are opportunities to speak up and have that voice heard. That is something that for our campus, having such a large population of first-generation college students, we really try to convey and make sure that you really understand that success at UC Merced comes down to a lot of the initiative, the agency, the personal agency that you exemplify here. And again, we think about that holistically, that it's an institutional responsibility to support you in that process and in that journey. And then thirdly, you want to make sure that in that process, of course, all students have access to the tools and resources that will help you achieve your academic career and your personal goals. Even if you are not fully, you have not fully identified what those are at this time, that is completely fine. A big part of the journey of higher education is exploring new facets, new aspects of who you are and the person you are going to become and grow into and trying to create opportunities for yourself to take advantage of that and get the most out of your time here at UC Merced. So I think it's important to start here and thinking very broadly about sort of what student success looks like and sort of how we stand behind that as we start to talk more about what that will look like through the lens of our Calvin E. Bright Success Center here at UC Merced. Our center is focused around a couple of different things, and we'll get into that in a moment. But what really guides us is this mission around providing learning support, transition programs, and individualized interventions to empower students to be successful academically and personally. And you have probably already heard me use this phrase or this language several times in the roughly 8 minutes that I've already been presenting. We want to approach things and think about things in a holistic fashion, that it's not just academics. It is personal and it is career as well. Because what we understand is if you students are struggling with your living situation, you're struggling with your health, it's going to be very difficult to be present and actively engaged in your academics. Likewise, if you are so inundated and so overwhelmed with academics, there could be downsides to that and not being able to maybe attend to some of the personal things in your life. Things can be out of balance. And so when we think about the mission of the center and mission for a lot of the programs and initiatives here at UC Merced, we approach things holistically because we want to attend to and understand that every facet of your life is valuable and important and deserves to be attended to. Within our Bright Success Center, we are divided up really into three broad categories, three broad areas. I mentioned I am an associate director for transition programs, and that is that middle tier that you see here. But we also have learning support and engagement, as well as educational equity and access programs that are our two other pillars or areas within our Calvin E. Bright Success Center. And I will be, of course, expanding upon each of those here in a few moments. But all together, we work collaboratively within our center to ensure that the transition programs that we are integrating are still attending to learning support and engagement and are built around equity and access. And likewise, for any of the other pillars in our area, in our center rather, we all attend to and manifest all three of our pillars in the work that we do. So I'm going to jump into the first area that was listed on the slide, learning support and engagement. A lot of times you may hear of or have heard about learning centers as they may exist at institutions of higher education. And the Bright Success Center, that is a part of our portfolio. And so learning support and engagement is that active learning center component of our center. And so you can see here on the left hand portion of your screen, some of the information that you have here are the larger areas that exist within our learning support and engagement team. So we have academic competitions and prestigious scholarships for students who are high achieving, who want to see about advancing their learning and research opportunities. We also have our peer-assisted learning support program, which for some will be known as tutoring or tutorial support. And we'll talk more about the model and why we talk about learning support and not use the language of tutoring here in a few moments. But we also have the Success Mentor Program, which is a peer-to-peer mentor program that pairs upper division students with incoming first-year students to provide holistic support and helping you be successful. And then we have our Undergraduate Studies 10 course, which is actually a one-unit course that is present for first-year students here at UC Merced, that is designed around helping you to understand what it means to be a university student, and helping to give you the tools and resources and helping you learn and implement those strategies that will help you be successful in your time at UC Merced and well beyond as well. On the right-hand side of the screen are just some of our sort of broader initiatives that we carry out of our learning support and engagement area. We have one-on-one learning support, consultations, and coaching. So students, if you get into a situation where maybe you're just not quite ascertaining or getting the information that you are reading, you're reading through the words and it's just not clicking, or something's just not quite working, or it's around time management or note taking or prioritizing, procrastination, any number of these topics and more. If you want to be able to sit down and talk with one of our staff in a one-on-one sort of consultation space, we have those options available. And so we do these 45-minute sessions and follow-ups as well to help you, identify, name the challenges that might be, preventing you from able to achieve, optimal success in your academics at UC Merced, and then work with you to help define and develop strategies that will help you work through those challenges to come out the other side. We have a whole series of workshops. I listed here professional staff-led workshops. Again, these are pro staff like myself who put on workshops that exist anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour, sometimes a little bit more, that will be focused throughout the semester on a variety of topics with a strong academic focus at our emphasis. In addition to our professional-led workshops, we also have a number of workshops that are led by students within the Bright Success Center, some of our student staff. And those, of course, are more peer-to-peer based presentations and workshops. But regardless of whether or not it's professional-led or staff-led, at the end of the day, it's all about helping you students to be successful, helping you to learn the skills and the strategies that will help you both in your time here at UC Merced and well beyond. For lower division students, we have mid-semester interventions that take place across the universities. This is not housed exclusively in our Bright Success Center, but our Bright Success Center is an active contributor to sort of a consortium of staff across campus who have mid-semester academic recovery interventions. And what that means is first-year students, or lower division students rather, who have a grade of a D, F, or an NP or a no pass at the mid-semester grade, which is will not show up in a transcript, but is something that could show up and say, if the semester were to end at this point, the mid-semester, this is what your grade would be. And it's designed to be an opportunity to understand where you are in your overall progression, to understand how the efforts that you're putting out are, whether or not they're achieving their desired goals, if you're getting the grades that you think you're capable of or that you're capable of achieving. And so if you're not getting those marks, then the mid-semester interventions are an opportunity to say, all right, if you're getting that a D or an F or a non-passing grade at that mid-semester point, let's have a conversation. Here are some interventions. Here are some things that you can start doing now, start turning things around so that when we get to finals and you get to the posting of final grades at the end of the semester, you're not going to see that D or the F or the NP. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to learn through those mid-semester interventions and begin to turn things around and move that grade in the upward trajectory, as we of course want you to here at UC Merced. As I mentioned, we think about things in terms of cross-campus collaborations, and so our learning support engagement team does that actively. We partner with a number of other offices to ensure that the academic support that is being provided to you all is timely, is relevant, and will help you be successful here at UC Merced. So jumping into a couple of the programs here, our peer-assisted learning support program, our PALS program. We use a lot of acronyms here at UC Merced. PALS, of course, is being one of them. I will try to refrain from using those too much this evening, but PALS, our peer-assisted learning support, provides tutorial-based support through a variety of formats. We have scheduled RSVP sessions. We have sessions that students can request of our learning assistants or our tutors. There's one-on-one sessions, and even students. We encourage you all to go to office hours often and go there regularly to connect with your faculty and to understand what you're learning and to expand upon the learning and the reading to get the most out of your educational experience here at UC Merced. For a lot of our students, I remember myself as a first generation college student, that was very intimidating to ask me to go back or to go and talk to faculty in their office hours. I was scared of that stuff. I didn't want to do that. I had no idea what to expect, but having someone around to talk to help strategize and think about, what are the things that I want to be able to get answered? What is my real question? Having someone available to help me, I guess, get my thoughts together and be able to approach my faculty, we're trying to see is helpful for myself. And our PALS program, our peer assisted learning support, provides that. So if you just want assistance with figuring out how to go talk to your faculty or your teaching assistant, TA, during their office hours, we have ways to support you in that process. The program is an internationally certified program, which means that all of our tutors, our learning assistants, have gone through a certain number of hours of training, depending on the level of certification. It could be upwards of hours of training. They've engaged in tutoring for, I think, a minimum of 50 hours to get certification. And then, of course, there's higher levels of certification. But it is a strict process, and it's something that we take very seriously. And we celebrate with our tutoring, our learning assistant staff, is that we want to make sure to provide you the best experience possible when you go to a PALS session. The last thing I'll mention in terms of our PALS tutoring options is that it's a learning community model, which means it's not just a space where you show up and the tutor is going to basically regurgitate information that you might otherwise hear in a lecture or you might otherwise read in your textbook. Students, you are an active part of that process. You are engaging with the learning assistant or the tutor and answering questions. A lot of times the learning assistants or the tutors will encourage those attending to support and help one another, because of course what we so often see is that one of the many ways to ensure that we are learning information is to share what we've learned and what we know so far. And so the PAL sessions are highly interactive, highly engaging in that way, as a way to try to get you to engage in the learning that is taking place in those sessions. I also mentioned our Success Mentor program. In a little bit, we'll have a student panel, and we have a couple of folks who are a part of our Success Mentor program who will be here today. But the Success Mentor program is a program exclusively for first-year students, and it's designed to help empower you to be successful academically, interpersonally, and of course, in terms of your career as well. And so the way it's structured is they pair you with an upper division student, and you would meet with that person one-on-one on a regular basis as determined by both the mentee and the mentor. This program is also internationally certified in a very similar program to the PALS program as well. And then they also work very closely with some of the mid-semester interventions and some of the other efforts across campus to, when there are issues or challenges, the Success Mentor program is there and is present to help turn things around where possible. So more information and links to that will be shared later on, but moving on. One of the areas as well is our Undergraduate Studies 10 course, which is a course for first-year students. It's an Introduction to Undergraduate Studies. The course is a 1-unit pass, no pass class. So it is credit bearing, non-GPA bearing. But the way it's structured, it's highly interactive. It is once a week course, like I mentioned. It's designed to help you learn strategies for effective learning, to be able to find ways to navigate the university. And so we might cover topics around time management, around reading, around decision-making, around prioritizing. We cover all of those topics within our Undergraduate Studies 10 course, sometimes often referred to as USTU or USTU, depending on who's talking about it. So, as you attend additional Become a Bobcat sessions or you attend orientation this summer, you will potentially hear more about this course, but it's highly encouraged and recommended for first-year students to sign up for this course when you have access to register later in, I believe it's June that you'll be registering. And really, again, thinking about the model for this course, and again, the model and the ways in which we engage with students here at UC Merced, it's all around empowerment. We want you to be able to learn the strategies and the resources so that you can implement them in the future. I used to employ many more staff in a previous position I had here at UC Merced, and one of the things that I would commonly say with the student employees I worked with is it's your job to put yourself out of a job. And what I meant by that was I wanted the student staff to be able to embody this aspect, this perspective empowerment for students, so that first year students, when you come in, you have questions, you're not quite sure about how to solve this problem or how to work through this other situation that you're dealing with. The responsibility of the employee is to help you learn the strategies that if you come across that problem again, you already have some experience and some confidence built from dealing with that the first time around. And so a lot of the work that we do in the Bright Success Centers focus around the idea of empowerment. So it's not just telling you what needs to be done, it's engaging you in that process so that you can be able to implement those things in the future. All right, so transition programs. This is the area within our Bright Success Center that I work with. Within our transition programs team, we have 3 distinct programs, those being our new student orientation program, our strengthening talents and exploring pathways program, also called our STEP Scholars program, and then lastly, our transfer returning and veteran program, our TRV program. And similar to like I did a moment ago, I will expand upon each of those here. So our new student orientation program, for those of you who choose to attend UC Merced and participate in our new student orientation program, I'll be seeing you this summer. I'm an active part of this team as well. And our goal, our aspiration for our new student orientation program is to help you make that successful transition and that journey from where you are now, in terms of high school students, thinking about your finishing your high school experience and your process there, then you graduate. Then there are a series of steps and things that you can begin doing prior to your first day of classes in August at UC Merced. And so the new student orientation program is designed to help provide a series of experiences over the summer to help you learn about that transition, help you become an active participant in your transition journey and make the most out of it. Our orientation program and all of its components are built around the 4 R's, and those are readiness, resources, relationship building, and reflection. The idea, of course, is we want you by the first day of classes to feel like you are ready. You have the information to be successful. And of course, that connects very strongly with our second R around resources. Part of enjoying a new community and a new environment is understanding all of that's available to you. And so a big part of that is understanding the resources that are available to you. And you will learn some initial things. And then while you're here at UC Merced, you will continue to learn in the years to come. And so we want you to get the basic foundation for all of the resources that could be available to you. Relationship building, of course, we want you to interact with each other, want you to interact with some of our orientation staff, so you can begin to connect with the community and develop a sense of belongingness and understanding that you do belong here at UC Merced. And then, of course, through that journey, we engage you in a series of reflective-based processes to think about where you're coming from and where you're going. I know, of course, I spoke very heavily around that first-year experience. Transfer students, for those of you who are with us today as well, we do use the same 4 R's, but we structure them a little bit differently, knowing that you are coming with a different set of experiences as well. But it's thinking about how do we engage you and help you think about getting the most out of your transition from your community college experience to UC Merced. We provide multilingual support. Still working on it, but we're trying to get some additional languages available this summer. We will be delivering orientation through all virtual or digital experiences, so nothing in person, unfortunately, this summer as well. And then lastly, we do offer additional programming throughout the year to continue to support you in your transitional journey here at UC Merced. Our STEP Scholars program, our Strengthening Talents and Exploring Pathways program, is about, again, also around empowerment, but specifically about serving students who are first generation, come from lower income families or are income eligible, or have a documented disability. If you would fall into any one of these categories or any combination of them, you would potentially be eligible to be part of our STEP Scholars program. Provide a lot of individualized interventions. This program prides itself on shorter time to degree completion, a higher sense of retention and persistence rate, so students continuing from year 1 to year 2, and then quicker time to graduation, as I mentioned. And a part of that is career exploration, internship exploration, and sort of understanding about your pathway and the trajectory that you were on while here at UC Merced. And similarly, again, that academic and personal approach, that holistic approach, is present for our STEP Scholars program as well. Lastly, within our transition programs area is our Transfer Returning and Veteran program, or TRV program. Of course, it is there in the name. This is a program for students who are transfer students, who are returning scholars, and or are veteran scholars. And this one is also very focused heavily on community and community building, providing a network for transfer returning and veteran scholars here at UC Merced. We have a textbook lending library that's a part of the program. We do have a living and learning community in which we're hoping to implement this coming fall. However, we are still kind of, like many of you, waiting to to find out more information about what some of the specifics around the upcoming academic year will look like in terms of housing and whatnot. But for transfer students, and understand that for so many, it's trying to get the most out of your time in 2 or maybe 3 years that you might be here at UC Merced. Of course, we focus very heavily on career and research and grad school preparation as well. So strong emphasis there, and a lot of close community contacts within our TRV program. And then our last pillar within our Bright Success Center is the Educational Equity and Access area. And then within this area in the Bright Success Center, we have these programs. We have our community partnerships programs. We have our Felix Scholars program, our Guardian Scholars program, our services for undocumented scholars, social justice initiatives and identity programs, and then our Underground Scholars Initiative. And of course, I will expand upon each of those here now. So our community partners and community partnership programs are programs that we have entered in understandings and memorandums of understanding with agencies who are advocating for the success of students who are in these programs. And so we have a colleague, within our center who works very closely with these agencies to keep track of and to follow up with and ensure these students have support interventions to help them be successful while they're here at UC Merced. And again, it's trying to continue to define and implement that sort of small community feel here at UC Merced. So currently we have about 25 programs, and you can see as indicated here, some of these are still pending partnerships, but we are continuing to grow and expand the community partnerships model for our campus. Our Felix Scholars program is a program designed to aid and support first generation income eligible students. It has a living learning community component designed in it as well. Similar to other programs, it is also holistic, that is academic and social, and it focuses on the personal side. But one of the things that this program does that some other programs don't always do is implementation of study hours and study sessions to try and create a learning environment. So it's not just a living learning community where you can socialize and connect with your fellow Felix scholars, but it's also a space where you can study and be successful together there as well. They provide specific tutoring within the program, and sometimes they invite some of our PALs, our peer assisted learning support learning assistants, to come in and provide sort of exclusive, smaller based settings for some tutorial support as well. They provide mentorship through that program. And then, of course, something that's always a added bonus is there is a $80,000 financial package that is associated with being a part of the Felix Scholars program. I understand there's probably more information on that that you are curious about, and so we'll share more links and information with that down the road. Our Guardian Scholars program is a program for foster and homeless youth at UC Merced, and it's designed to try and, again, provide a community-based approach to ensuring that students who are current or former foster youth or are homeless are getting support and advocacy to help them be successful. Again, it's community-based and community-focused, strong emphasis on priority housing and year-round housing contracts to ensure that for students who may be homeless or don't have other spaces to go back to during the breaks, that there is housing available and that your needs are attended to throughout this program. We have a small staff of folks in the center who are very passionate about and dedicated to supporting students in the Guardian Scholars program. And what we often see is participants in the Guardian Scholars program feel a strong sense of sort of belongingness, feel highly visible here at UC Merced because they have people who are going back for them, people who are supporting them every step of the way. Part of the program, of course, there are textbook stipends, which of course is an added bonus for participants in the program. And then as well as priority registration. So that's also a bonus for students who are participating in our Guardian Scholars program. New to our educational equity and access programs is our area of social justice initiatives and identity programs that is present at UC Merced, which really kind of consists of, and you can kind of see on the graphic, the three sort of logos that we have. We have our broad social justice initiatives and identity programs. Then within that, we have our LGBTQ plus initiatives, which stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer and plus communities. And so it's providing a space to support and advocate for the diversity of gender identities and sexual orientations that do exist in our society. In addition, we have a women's programs area that's also within social justice initiatives and identity programs. And whether it's looking at sort of the broad social justice initiatives or looking at LGBTQ plus initiatives or women's programs, You can see here the vision and the mission, the commitment that social justice initiatives has to trying to ensure that all members of our community, all members of our society feel like they belong, that they feel psychologically and physically attended to, and they are safe and secure in their space. A big part of that is wanting to ensure that all of our students are successful and are retained, that they feel if they are active part of our campus, and that they have that sense of belonging, because we want all of our scholars here, regardless of identity. And of course, a big part of that is thinking about how does that area influence and create change on campus in the local community. And so you may see a lot of programs, initiatives around creating change and developing a sense of voice and agency to help create the changes that we want to see on campus or beyond. We also have services for undocumented students or undocumented scholars within our Rise Success Center. And so you can see here on the screen that we provide guidance and support to all undocumented and mixed status scholars. So that being students who themselves may not be undocumented, but may have families and loved ones who are, and so that can have an impact on them. And so we provide, the services that you see here, from academic counseling, legal support, financial aid resources, and whatnot, to try to help you remain connected and be successful here at UC Merced. There is a strong sense of advocacy and training that takes place to ensure that not only are we providing services and resources for our undocumented student population here at UC Merced, but we're also providing training to help ensure that the rest of the campus community, as well as faculty and staff, are well aware of the topics and the issues that might be affecting undocumented students, ensuring that we are creating a community of support and of inclusiveness here at UC Merced. There's a lot of partnerships that take place. We hear this a lot at UC Merced, that there are partnerships all over the place in terms of how offices and departments are coming together to ensure that support is provided. Again, thinking about that larger sense of success here at UC Merced. Understanding the unique experiences and situations that often exist for our undocumented students or students who are in mixed status families. There's a lot of partnerships, like I said, in terms of counseling and psychological services, with our advising units and some of our other offices on campus, including financial aid, our Center for Career and Professional Advancement, where we have colleagues that we connect with. And we often believe in ensuring that when a student leaves our office, leaves our center, that they know who they're going to go talk to. They have someone specific that they can go seek out and connect with to ensure that their questions are being attended to and that they're getting the answers they need to be successful here at UC Merced. I know I mentioned a couple of the other resources that are available here at UC Merced for our undocumented students, but an additional one that is listed here as well is our emergency funds and resources that are available on an as-needed basis. We also have a center, we have a lounge space, and then also access to and sort of referrals to grants and scholarships and other sort of fiscal and research and learning opportunities at UC Merced and beyond. New to our Bright Success Center coming fall is our Underground Scholars Initiative, which is going to be a program for formerly incarcerated, and system impacted scholars. The idea is being able to think about the unique experiences that those who've been impacted by prison industrial complex in the United States, the experiences these students come in with are unique. And we want to make sure that for those who are seeking opportunity and who are exploring higher education, that their past experiences are not going to be a detriment to their success here at UC Merced. We want them to feel, of course, they're an active part of our community and they have the resources to help them be successful, that also, again, attend to the unique experiences that they may have. As you can see on the screen, this is still a brand new initiative. We just announced it back in, I think it was February that we announced it, or end of January. So this is brand new, still in development. And so don't have a whole lot of details in the program at this point in time, but it is one of our newest and new exciting opportunities that we have in our Bright Success Center. So I covered a lot in terms of our Success Center, but a big part of it for me in thinking about sort of the work that we do, for me comes to this quote, action is the fundamental key to success. And a big part of that is students, we have all of the resources, we have all this information that's here and it's available to you to help you be successful. And I spoke about that idea of responsibility and the idea of agency that you all have. And for me, it comes down to this action piece, this action component. We can have all of these beautiful buildings and resources, these passionate staff, and we will do our part to reach out to you, to engage you. But at the end of the day, a big part of that's going to come down to your individual responsibility and how are you taking action to take advantage of the opportunities for you? How are you becoming an active agent on the path to your own individual success? And so I just kind of want to close this portion of the presentation and thinking about, when you hear about these resources, whether it's through today's Become a Bobcat session or one of the other ones that you've participated in the past or will participate in the coming weeks or months, be thinking about how you will take advantage of opportunities, how you will take the information that is being presented to you and turn that around and find ways to make use of it and help you be successful. That being said, you've probably heard long enough from a staff member talking about all the resources and whatnot. I actually have a couple of scholars here who are with me today. Haris and Arturo, if you would come on screen, they're going to join us talking a little bit more about the journey and experiences here at UC Merced from a student-based perspective and how they've been successful and leverage the opportunities that exist within the Bright Success Center and beyond. So Haris, I know we have some information for you on the screen here. If you would just quickly introduce yourself, I appreciate that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys all for being here. My name is Harwise Marshall. I'm a fourth-year management and business economics major from Antioch, California. Some things I've been involved in at UC Merced. I'm currently a student mentor through Success Mentor Program. I'm the HR representative for Business Society. I've attended meetings at the Economics Club, and I also participated in some of our leadership series and seminars.
Thank you, Harwise. And Arturo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Arturo Raudales. I am also a fourth-year student, graduating very soon. My major is English, and I'm from LA. So if there's anyone from LA, I'm from the Echo Park area, if y'all know. I am also involved in the Success Mentor Program, and I'm also involved currently in the Parent and Family Association, and I have previously served as the president for the National Society of Collegiate Scholars.
Well, great. Thank you, Arturo and Harwise, for being here. I do have a couple of facilitated questions that we'll be going through. That, of course, participants, attendees, feel free to toss some additional questions in the Q&A as well. And we'll try to get to those in a few minutes. But with that being said, starting first and foremost, what can students do now to best prepare for their transition to university life? And of course, we don't want to exclude our parents and families and loved ones, of course, in this process. So secondary question is, how can parents and families and loved ones support their scholars and as they think about this transition to university life? And so let's go ahead and start with Harwise.
My best advice would be to do extensive research on all the different programs, resources, and organizations that we have on campus, because even though we've heard a lot tonight, there's so many more. Our campus just wants to really help students succeed and be successful in whatever they want to do. So you'll have a better idea of what you're coming into and where you might go if you run into any issues. And how parents and families can support is just don't pressure students too much in their first semester, kind of let them find their way, but attend any workshops, webinars, so that you can familiarize yourself with campus resources and programs as well. And just be open to listening to their interests too.
Thank you, Harwise. And Arturo, what do you have to add to that?
So I think one thing that's very important to kind of think about as you're, in the summer, as you're kind of going into the fall, is be mindful of when your registration time is. That was something that I didn't really know about my first year. And, registration time came along and I didn't sign up for classes until like 2 weeks later. So if you really want to kind of get, on the right foot, starting at UC Merced, make sure that you know when your registration time is and kind of know about what classes are possibilities for you that you can take. And then also to parents, I know sometimes the biggest thing for me was that I was kind of pressured by my family to be in a specific major. And I think kind of coming in with, it's okay if you're kind of coming in undeclared or thinking about switching or stuff like that, it's fine. As long as you find something that you enjoy and you find something that kind of brings you passion, brings you joy, it'll all work out in the end.
Well, thank you both for that. Question 2, how have you been supported academically and personally in your time as a Bobcat? Arturo?
All right, cool. So for me, it's honestly been the USU class that you talked about earlier, Jason. For me, I took that class as a first-year student, and it really set me on a different trajectory. I ended up becoming employed by the same people who taught the class for me. And now, through that, I've been able to kind of get promoted from position to position. And overall, just the Bright Success Center in general, I've been heavily involved with them since like my sophomore year. And a lot of opportunities have kind of come up because of that. whether it be internships, whether it be the job opportunities, whether it be, you know, a fellowship. You know, a lot of different opportunities came because of that. So for me, it's being involved with people who kind of put me up on a pedestal and kind of motivate me. That's what's been successful for me.
Thank you, Arturo. Yeah, in the Breast Success Center, even though we haven't been on campus the past year, he's definitely been a staple in our office for a couple of years and whatnot. So what about you, Harvey's?
So my story is actually pretty similar. I also started in the UST course my freshman year, and Jason actually kind of put me on to being a peer instructor for the course, and I eventually became a mentor as well. So I would honestly say that my supervisor has been a huge support, as well as a lot of the staff in the Bright Success Center. I really wasn't one who went to my professors often to build relationships with them, but don't be like me. I just found my safe place somewhere else, and I found people who encouraged me to keep going and challenged me to grow. So I knew if I ever had any issues or concerns, they validated me and assisted me as best that I could.
Yeah, and if I just may add very briefly onto what both Arturo and Harvey said in terms of this aspect, they both spoke about the Bright Success Center as being a space where they found community and they found a sense of belongingness and connection with some of the staff and some of the fellow students who work within our center. It's not going to be the Bright Success Center for everyone. You know, we don't have the capacity to do that for all of our students, but the hope is whether it's the Bright Success Center, whether it's recreation athletics, or whether it's the Center for Career Professional Advancement, the Margot F. Souza Leadership Center, whatever it is that students, you're finding opportunity to connect with fellow students and maybe even some of the staff and faculty in developing that sense of community here at UC Merced. So I know our panelists have spoken about the Bright Success Center. Clearly, I have a passion for it. I've worked for the center since 2011, so you know it's going on 10 years now. But yeah, so think about how you're going to again exhibit that sense of agency and create that community for yourself. Our third question: what do you wish you knew or asked about when you were deciding on UC Merced? And Harvey, it's going to start with you on this one.
Okay, so I kind of decided to come to UC Merced, and I didn't even know Merced was a city that existed. Like I knew nothing about the Central Valley. So it just kind of, as I didn't know anything coming into it, I learned a lot super quickly. So I didn't do any research on schools in California because I convinced myself that I was going to go out of state, which didn't work out, obviously. But while UC Merced isn't a perfect institution like none are, but I fell in love with the opportunities and the inclusivity that the community has to offer. So it's just kind of like the previous question, just do a lot of research and just find the school, and hopefully UC Merced will be the school for you that best supports your needs and has resources and programs that best support you.
What about you, Arturo? Would you like to add anything to this?
I think for me and for the people that were kind of coming with me from my high school, the biggest question was, what is there to do in Merced? Like, what can you do, right? We're coming from a city where you can practically do anything at any time of day. And at least for me, I thought like, oh, okay, I'll probably spend my time on campus all the time. But even just like going out and like discovering like the city of Merced, I know there's a lot of places. So obviously because of COVID, not many might be open right now. But like a nickel arcade is one that I honestly thought was pretty cool. Like if you go to Santa Monica and, you know, go play at the arcade, 30, 40 bucks easily. I spent $7 and I was there for 3 hours. So just like little stuff like that, little niche places I think are pretty cool to know. And then also kind of coming in, I had a very distinct friend group coming in from high school. So I kind of assumed that those would be the type of people that I would hang out with once I got to college. But realizing that there's different kind of upbringings or different kind of mindsets, for me is something that I wish I would have done was like research what clubs and organizations were available to first year students on campus that first year, so that I would be able to kind of connect with people that I kind of had a previous, you know, connections with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both Arturo and Harvey have some really excellent points to add here to this, or that they've mentioned. You know, one of the big things that I often encourage folks to think about, of course, at this point in time, you may be still shopping around, making your decision as to what institution, you know, you may commit to. And clearly, as I've shared, you know, I have a passion, of course, and preference for UC Merced, but I also know, and so many of us know, that that's not going to be for everyone, and that's completely okay. It's about, like what Haris mentioned, doing the research and finding the spaces and the areas where you can connect, where you can see yourself, and asking yourself some critical questions around that. Because again, I think UC Merced has a lot to offer. Very passionate about our campus and who we are and what we do. And I think there's a place for so many of you, and hopefully you will find it here. But shifting gears, last question for our facilitated questions. Thinking about words of wisdom or knowledge you like to impart on our students and families. So Arthur, we'll start with you. What words of wisdom would you like to offer to students as well as families about the future, whether that's at UC Merced or otherwise?
So I'm gonna kind of give y'all some words that I tell my mentees when I meet with them. And this is sometimes when you might be feeling like you don't necessarily feel like you belong, or you don't feel like you fit in. Don't ever say no to yourself. Let them say no to you if it comes to that. So you feel like you may not be qualified for an internship, maybe for some kind of fellowship, some kind of program that's being offered on campus, or really anything in life. Apply for it, right? Because if you don't apply, then obviously it's going to be a no. But if you do apply, you might go through the interview process, you might impress somebody there. So that's what I would say when it comes to all things at UC Merced.
Yeah, I almost want to give some snaps to that one. Thanks, Arthur. Harwees, what do you have?
My advice to students would be to just prepare as much as possible, but continue to be open-minded as you begin on this endeavor. And just to find your happy face and your happy place and find your home away from home. And then for parents, as scary as the time as this might be for you, it's just as scary for your students. So as much as we want to be independent and pretend like we're grown-ups, we'll always need you guys to just be there, be supportive, be attentive, but let them have room to grow as well.
Well, thank you both for sharing that. And, participants and attendees, if you have questions you would like to ask of our panelists, please feel free to go ahead and toss those in the Q&A. Of course, we're actually going to transition now to some of our questions that have been submitted so far. And so, Ricky, I understand you're going to help us to field some of these questions or share what's been tossed up in the Q&A. So what do you have for us here?
Great. Thank you so much, Jason. And what a wonderful student panel we have this evening. Thank you all so much. We are getting some fabulous questions behind the scenes. We are answering some of those there. However, we do want to keep some of those saved for this live question and answer session. Can you explain a little bit about what orientation entails, if it's mandatory, and are students able to register for that now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to expand upon the orientation component. So I may have missed all the parts of it. So registration has not opened as of yet. We are scheduled to go live. I don't have the date in front of me right now. I believe it is on April 19th. I'll need to look it up in a few moments here. But registration will go live on April 19th, I believe, or plus or minus a couple of days. The actual orientation season takes place throughout the summer. I mentioned we have a series of experience throughout the summer. We have different components. We have an online pre-orientation that is accessible after beginning June 1st. And we ask that students complete that up to a couple of days prior to participating in a live orientation experience. That live orientation experience will be a 3-hour experience. It'll take place between June 24th or June 20, I'm blanking the date right now, June 20, I'll look it up in a second, but late June and July 24th. We will have a series of 7 orientation dates. One of those is a transfer specific orientation session. But students would choose one of those along as well as with your parents and families and loved ones. The 3-hour live orientation experience is for students as well as for parents and families and loved ones, and is one presentation for the entire sort of incoming family and incoming community based perspective. After our live orientation experience, we will have ongoing opportunities as well. We have relationship building opportunities for students, for you to connect with fellow students, for you to connect with some of our orientation staff, get to know them, have a space to connect with an orientation leader to ask questions so you can hear from peers about their process and their journey and what that has been like. And they can connect you where necessary as well. Parents and families and loved ones, we will also have an additional sort of exclusive parent, family, and loved one called a Partners of Success webinar, which will take place probably like 3 to 4 days after that live orientation experience. And then we'll also have a series of pre-recorded webinars on topics from academic advising to living, dining, and commuting in Merced, to safety, to wellness and balance and what that looks like here at UC Merced. So all those things will be part of our pre-recorded webinar series, which goes live after your 3-hour orientation experience. And then we also have information fairs, drop-in sessions, so a lot of opportunities to engage with our orientation program. And again, those will start June 1 with the online pre-orientation access and continue through the end of July. So just there's a lot of opportunities that take place during that window.
Okay, so moving on, the next question has to do with undocumented students and what types of programs we have available to them and how students can get involved to sign up for those programs.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think one of the best ways is to use the link that's available on the chat, the undoc.ucmerced.edu. There's, we have a team of student staff who put on a series of programs, events throughout the year to help ensure that not just the campus community, but the students who may be undocumented at UC Merced are getting access to resources that will help them be successful. And then we also have a colleague here actually who's been helping out back behind the scenes in terms of the chat, Alejandro Delgadillo. He's one of our associate directors who works with our services for undocumented students. Be able to answer that question as well. Is there something else you'd like to add?
Yes, I would. Thank you. The services for undocumented students is broad and comprehensive in what we provide for students here at the university. Okay, so students register with the Office of Services for Undocumented Students, which is undoc@ucmerced.edu. That is our email address. And just register and let us know that you're coming. We have a summer orientation program for undocumented students and their families that we provide this year virtually because of our pandemic. So therefore, we address issues specifically for undocumented students and their families. And we do it in English and in Spanish as well to accommodate those who may not be English speakers as well. We also provide, as Mr. Juarez mentioned earlier, free legal services that's open to students and their immediate families. That includes their parents and as well as their siblings. We also provide a variety of programs geared to help students who have DACA and who don't have DACA to have experiential opportunities, meaning internship, research opportunities as well at the university. As well as Mr. Juarez also mentioned, we do provide emergency funds to help out with those who are trying to renew their DACA or apply for DACA for the first time. So we do have a variety of programs, but the best thing to do is just send us an email and let us know that you're coming this fall so that we can start putting you on our mailing list and you're getting the information and updates about the upcoming services for this school year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex, for that great information. We are getting close to our wrap-up time, so I do want to squeeze in a couple more questions. The next one has to do with the Fiat Lux program. If we can get a bit more detail about that program and also specifically related to the LLC portion of that. Are students required that are in the Fiat Lux, are they required to live in that LLC community?
I can answer that. Okay. Yeah. The Fiat Lux Scholars Program, yes, a requirement of the program is to live on campus their first year in the designated living learning community for Fiat Lux scholars. And so it is a requirement as we build community amongst those scholars, but also because of the close access and proximity to services and support programs that we provide for that particular community of scholars as well. The second year, students can live in any residence hall they choose after the first year, that's fine. And those students who may live locally, as we do have some local students who live within the 55-mile range, who are part of the Fiat Lux program, who do live in the residence halls, can opt out of the second year and live off campus or return back to living with their families.
Wonderful. Thank you once again, Alex. The next question I'd like to toss out to our two student panelists, and Arturo, we'll start with you. Can you give our audience some insight about which program or which student service program and support program has been the most helpful to you?
I think for me, it's been the Success Mentor program. I didn't serve as a mentee per se, but I think for me professionally, in terms of building like what my career path would be, being a mentor and helping other first year students kind of navigate, their first year and kind of teaching them about what my mistakes were and kind of how to avoid that has been the most fruitful for me.
Amazing. Harwees, would you like to go ahead and add a little bit as well?
Yeah, so the Success Mentor program would also be my answer. I also wasn't a mentee because I just didn't know about the program and I really wish that I did. But just doing the work and like helping the mentees and seeing them throughout their journey through UC Merced, even the struggles, it's fruitful to see where they end up at the end of the program. And it also helps me learn a lot more about myself and like grow with them and challenge myself as I'm challenging them. So the Success Mentor program has been the most helpful to me, but I have seen a lot of the great things that the other programs in the Bright Success Center does and other programs on campus in general.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. As we are nearing the end of our program, I would like to give Jason an opportunity to wrap up any last minute thoughts or things that he would just like to share with our audience tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I hopefully the information has been helpful and valuable for you. Please be sure to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you and thinking about the quote and action agency, some of the components that I've spoken about throughout my time tonight. Do the research that Harvey's mentioned and Arthur spoke about as well. Take advantage of this opportunity. Ask the questions and really try to understand all of the opportunities that are available to you and take advantage of them. Again, I think I'm being redundant at this point in time, but there are a lot of people at UC Merced who are very passionate, like myself, about making sure that you have access to information resources. Of course, on the screen right now is information for our Bar Success Center, and of course, I have my information that is listed there as well. And so, feel free to follow up with me as well. A little fun twist here. I actually manage the learning at UC Merced. So whether you send an email to either of the two accounts there, they both come to my inbox. So, but feel free to ask any questions. No such thing as a stupid question from my perspective. And of course, anything you ask, we will do our part to make sure we give you the answers and information to help you be successful. Otherwise, thank you for your time. And Ricky, I know you have some additional closing words.
I do. Thank you so much, Jason, Alex, our student panels, everyone behind the scenes, and of course, our audience for sending in these great questions for us tonight. This has been a wonderful presentation, and it is part of our larger series called Become a Bobcat. We do have a website that you can visit to take a look at the upcoming events that, as I mentioned at the start of this program, we will be offering a total of 40 different events with various topics. Some have already passed, but don't worry, we do record these events and they are available for replay on our YouTube channel. So we will definitely drop that link into the chat for you so you can take a look at the Become a Bobcat, a virtual series website. There you will find the opportunity to register for upcoming events, as well as the links to previously recorded events. It does take us a day or two to get those posted, so be patient if you would like to replay this one in particular. I also would like to mention a new opportunity that we have presented for our audience. You can definitely take a look at another website that we will provide for you. It is called Drive-Through Tours. Can you imagine you can drive to our campus, stay in the comfort of your vehicle, and get a campus tour? You will have the opportunity to stop at many different tour stops on that campus and scan a QR code for a personalized information session from one of our student tour guides. So current Bobcats sharing their insight and information about our beautiful campus. So take a look there at that website. You definitely want to get registered in advance. And that website will also give you the dates and times that those tours are available. Once again, it's been a pleasure being your moderator this evening. Thank you so much to our great presenters and our student panelists. Much appreciated for all of our audience members for joining us and taking time out of your evening. It has been a great pleasure. On behalf of all of my colleagues at the University of California, Merced, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you at a future Become a Bobcat virtual series event. Have a nice evening.